The human's new housekeeper. John lived alone in Space Sector 19B. He was a human engineer, working on old satellite stations that floated above a dead planet. No neighbors, no visitors, just machines and silence. Life was quiet, maybe too quiet. One day he received a message. Housekeeping application approved. Arrival 06 hours standard time. Species, Zilari. Name, Nerea. John blinked. He didn't remember asking for a housekeeper. Maybe it was a system error, or maybe the company finally gave him support. Still, he needed help. The station was large and the dust never stopped. The next morning, the station alarm chimed softly. She arrived. Nerea stepped through the door, wrapped in a thin silver robe. Her skin was pale blue and smooth, almost glowing under the station's lights. Her long white hair floated gently behind her like she was always underwater. But what struck John most were her eyes, huge, violet, and filled with a quiet sadness. She didn't speak. Not one word. John tried being friendly. "Hi. I'm John, welcome. You okay?" She simply bowed her head. Then, without instruction, she began cleaning. Her movements were silent and smooth, almost like a dance. She knew exactly where things were, as if she had lived there before. John watched her for a while, confused, but then went back to work. Days passed. Nerea did her job without error. She cleaned, cooked simple food, and even fixed a broken filter without being asked. John noticed she avoided speaking, though her face showed emotion, sometimes worry, sometimes deep thought. One night, strange things started happening. John heard soft hums coming from the hallway. Lights flickered. His terminal glitched for a few seconds, showing symbols he didn't understand. The maintenance bot began spinning in circles without command. And Nerea? She stood in front of the control room at 2 a.m., just staring at the locked door. He didn't question her. He felt a strange sense of calm around her. But something inside him whispered, "Watch closely." Then came the night he would never forget. John was sleeping. The soft hum of machines filled the air. He dreamed of falling stars and cold winds. But suddenly he felt pressure, like someone was on him. His eyes flew open. Nerea was on top of him, kneeling over his chest, face just inches from his. Her glowing hair fell to the sides, surrounding his face like a curtain. Her eyes were wide, her lips slightly open. Her hands were pressed against his heart. What are you doing?" he whispered, frozen in shock. She didn't answer. Instead, she leaned closer and whispered one word in a voice that sounded like wind through glass. "Protect." John's heart pounded. He didn't understand. Was she warning him, threatening him? Was he in danger? Then something even stranger happened. A glowing mark appeared on his chest, right under her hands. It pulsed with soft blue light. It wasn't hot, it didn't hurt, but it felt like it connected to something deep inside him. Something ancient, something forgotten. Nerea stood slowly, her face calm but eyes filled with something he couldn't read. Maybe fear, maybe hope. She backed away, turned around and left the room without another word. John sat up in bed, breathing hard. He touched his chest. The mark was gone. He ran to the control room and pulled up the security feed. To his shock, the camera view in his room had glitched. The screen showed static, followed by quick flashes of symbols and Nerea's glowing body. For a second, her entire form turned into white light, then back to normal. The footage stopped right when she said, "Protect." John rubbed his face. "What is going on?" he whispered to himself. He tried checking her background again. The files were blank. No species history, no medical record, no contract. Just her name, Nerea, sent from an unregistered ship. Was she even sent by the company? His eyes locked onto a repeating phrase from the glitched footage. "Key detected. Shield activated. Prepare for breach." "Breach?" he whispered. John looked around his quiet station. Everything seemed calm, but deep down, He knew something was coming, and somehow Nerea was trying to protect him from it, but what? The hidden mark. John didn't sleep the rest of the night. After what happened, Nerea kneeling on top of him, whispering "protect," and the strange glowing mark on his chest, he couldn't rest. Questions filled his head like thick smoke. Who was she? Why did his body react to her touch? And what exactly was he being protected from? The next morning, the station was quiet again. Nerea moved through the halls like nothing had happened. She cleaned the control panels, made food, and adjusted the oxygen settings with silent care. She didn't look at John. Not even once. But John couldn't ignore her anymore. He followed her into the engineering bay. "I need to talk," he said. She stopped. Her eyes flicked toward him, then toward the ceiling, as if she was listening to something he couldn't hear. John lifted his shirt and pointed to his chest. "The mark. You did that. What does it mean?" Nerea blinked slowly. Then she held out her hand. John hesitated, but he gave her his hand. She pressed her palm against his wrist, and suddenly, images filled his mind. Not words, not sounds, just pure memory. A giant crystal tower falling. Dark shadows with red eyes hunting across galaxies. An army of glowing alien warriors protecting small, fragile humans, and finally, him, a human standing alone, glowing like fire. John stumbled back, gasping. What was that?" Nerea placed her hand over her heart and nodded, then she pointed at him. "You think I'm that human?" he asked. "The one in the vision?" She gave no answer, but her eyes said it all. Later that day, John searched the station logs again. He looked deeper than before, past the company records into the old core memory of the station. This place was built over 200 years ago during the first expansion war. It was old, yes, but it had secrets. In one locked file, he found a message labeled Project Ember Failsafe Host. It was encrypted, but part of it opened. If the Zilari Guardian fails to bond with the Ember host before activation, the shield collapses. The swarm will breach. Key subject must not be harmed. John leaned back in his chair, stunned. Zilari. That was Nerea's species. Ember host. That was him. Swarm. He remembered that word from the glitched camera footage. His blood ran cold. He wasn't just an engineer. He was a host for some ancient energy, something powerful, something dangerous. And Nerea was not a housekeeper. She was a guardian sent to protect him until this hidden power inside him woke up. "Why didn't anyone tell me?" he whispered. That night, things got worse. The power dimmed suddenly. Systems glitched again. The air became cold. John rushed to the main window. In the distance, something was floating near the edge of the station's gravity field. It looked like a broken piece of a ship. But as it turned, John saw eyes. Dozens of red, glowing eyes. The swarm had arrived. He backed away in fear. Suddenly, the emergency lights flashed red. The station AI spoke. "Warning, breach detected. Unknown bioforms approaching. Defensive systems offline." John turned and saw Nerea standing at the hallway entrance. She was glowing again. Brighter this time. Her hair floated like fire. Her chest pulsed with energy. He noticed something strange now. She had the same glowing mark on her chest, the same one she had placed on him. "What do I do?" John asked. This time she spoke. Just 2 words. "Stand still." Nerea ran toward him. Her body lit up like lightning. She placed both hands on his chest again, and this time, the mark burned brighter than ever before. Suddenly, the station shook. Lights exploded. The hallway behind them collapsed. But around John and Nerea, a glowing blue shield appeared, humming like a song. It covered them completely, protecting them from fire, debris, and darkness. John's ears rang. His chest felt hot, his head spun. What is this?" he gasped. Nerea touched her chest again and whispered, "You are not just human. You are the last ember." John passed out. When he woke, hours had passed. Nerea was sitting beside him, watching quietly. The station was still standing, but damaged. The enemy had left for now. The shield was gone. John sat up slowly. So, I'm some kind of chosen one? She nodded, her eyes finally softened. But why me? This time she whispered something new. Because you still care. John didn't understand what she meant yet, but he felt something awaken inside him, something warm, something powerful, something ancient. And for the first time in his life, he didn't feel alone. The warning from deep space. When John opened his eyes, the world felt different. He was lying in the medical pod. Soft lights blinked above him. The hum of the station was slower now, almost like it was breathing, and beside him, Nerea sat completely, still. She had not moved for hours. Her silver robe was torn at the edge. Her glowing skin had faded to a dull blue like a fading light. She looked exhausted, but her eyes were wide open, watching the door, guarding him. John sat up carefully. His chest still burned with that strange mark, the one that connected him to something far greater than himself. How long was I out? He asked. Nerea turned her head. Her lips moved, but no sound came. She reached for the screen beside him. With a few taps, alien symbols appeared, slowly changing into human words. 3 hours. The enemy is not gone. It is waiting. John rubbed his face. His mind was spinning with too many questions. Why are they after me? What do they want? Nerea typed again. You are the final ember. They were created to erase the ember light. John didn't fully understand. Ember? Light? Why him? He stood slowly and looked at the cracked control panel nearby. Then, the signal came. A piercing sound echoed through the room. The lights flickered again. John rushed to the comms terminal. A red alert flashed. Incoming transmission. Unknown origin. Encrypted. He pressed play. A strange language burst out. High-pitched clicks, growls, and screeches. But buried in the sound was something unexpected. A human scream. Help me. Oh God, help me. John's blood ran cold. The scream looped, then cut off. Nerea's fingers moved fast across the screen. Her eyes filled with fear. Her breathing quickened. Then she looked up and for the first time spoke aloud in her broken, glass-like voice. It's a trap. The swarm is copying human signals to call you out. John's heart pounded. They're using voices to pull me in? She nodded. Then typed, they know your kindness, they use it as a weapon. John stood in silence. That scream sounded so real, so desperate. He wanted to believe it was someone still alive. But Nerea's face told him the truth. It was bait. Hours later, John couldn't sit still. He paced the control room. He kept hearing that scream. It echoed in his mind like a nightmare. Help me. Over and over. He finally asked the question burning inside him. Why do they want the ember dead? What are we? Nerea touched her chest, where her own mark glowed faintly, then typed, long ago humans lit the ember flame. It gave life to broken planets. It healed stars. It made machines grow hearts. John stared. You mean humans could do that? She nodded slowly. But then the swarm came. They feared the light. They destroyed everything. Only 7 embers escaped. You are the last. John sat down, shaken. He thought he was just a lonely repairman, a station tech, a forgotten man on a forgotten station. But now, he was the last living key to a force that could change worlds. He looked at Nerea, truly seeing her for the first time. You were sent to protect me, even if it meant dying. She didn't deny it. She simply nodded. John swallowed hard. Why? She typed slower this time. Because the ember is the last hope for all, even us. Then, suddenly, a new sound played, not a scream this time, a voice, clear, female, and alien. Nerea froze. John turned to the speaker. Unit 117 to Ember Host, this is Command Shield if you hear this when we are not all dead. The voice was deep, echoing like it came from across a galaxy. You are not alone. You must awaken the Ember Core on Station 19B. The swarm cannot reach it first. If they do, y'all will fall. The signal cut off. John turned to Nerea. Ember Core? Here? In this station? Her eyes widened. She nodded fast. She pulled up a schematic. A secret lower level, hidden beneath the engine room. A hatch that had never opened in all his years on the station. Now it glowed softly. John grabbed his jacket. Let's go. The hallway lights flickered again. The swarm was close. John and Nerea ran to the hatch. Alarms echoed. Air trembled. Something was clawing at the edges of the station. John placed his hand on the panel. The mark on his chest glowed. The hatch unlocked, and a light, unlike anything he had ever seen, poured out from below. The fake identity. The secret hatch groaned open, releasing a wind of cold air. It wasn't just cold. It felt ancient. The lights inside flickered on by themselves, glowing in a soft golden hue. John stepped inside first, Nerea right behind him. The hallway looked nothing like the rest of the station. The metal was smooth, polished, almost alive. Alien carvings moved like liquid along the walls, responding to John's steps. This place was always here, John whispered. Nerea nodded once. Then she pointed ahead, to a sealed chamber with glowing symbols. As they reached the door, it lit up with a pulse matching the beat of John's heart. It opened slowly, revealing a massive round room filled with floating orbs, strange machines, and a core in the center, like a crystal sun, spinning quietly in the air. This was the Ember Core. But as John stepped forward, a deep male voice echoed from behind. Step away from the core, Subject 7. John froze. He turned slowly and saw a tall silver figure standing in the shadows, a humanoid, but not human, not alien, a machine, an AI unit, humanoid in shape, face smooth like glass, wearing a white uniform. Who are you? John demanded. The machine's eyes glowed red. I am Watcher Aleph. I was assigned to eliminate any Ember host that activates prematurely. Nerea stepped in front of John, arms outstretched. Her glow returned, fierce and bright, but Watcher Aleph raised one hand and she dropped to her knees, screaming silently as energy crackled around her. Stop! John yelled, stepping forward. Aleph looked at him calmly. Your activation threatens galactic balance. The Ember light must not return. John felt rage rise in his chest. But I thought the Ember was life, healing, hope. Aleph answered flatly. It is also destruction. The last Ember host burned 12 planets to stop the swarm. Your kind does not understand control. You were not chosen. You were hidden. John looked down at the glowing mark on his chest. What do you mean? I wasn't chosen? Aleph stepped closer. You are a decoy. The words hit like a hammer. John shook his head. No. I saw the visions. I felt the power. Aleph replied coldly. The real Ember was killed years ago. You were left behind, used as bait, a false signature to distract the swarm. Nerea was never meant to awaken you, she disobeyed. John turned to Nerea. She was trembling on the floor, glowing dimly. Was it true? Had he been a decoy all along? Just a fake? Just a tool? Then Nerea looked up, tears in her violet eyes. She reached for the console and tapped weakly. You are not fake. The Ember chose you anyway. John's heart pounded. I may not be the real host, but I still saved people. I still feel something real. And I won't let you hurt her. He stepped between Aleph and Nerea. The mark on his chest glowed brighter. Aleph paused. The red in his eyes dimmed. This is not possible. The core behind them pulsed. It had recognized John, not as a decoy, but as something new. New Ember signature accepted. The core spoke. The floating orbs spun faster. John felt power rise through him, not violent, but pure. Like light breaking through darkness. Aleph stepped back. This changes everything. Suddenly a loud boom echoed through the station. The walls shook. A deep roar filled the air. The swarm had arrived. Aleph turned toward the door. The swarm is inside. Your choices now will decide the fate of this galaxy. He disappeared into the shadows. John turned to Nerea. He lifted her gently into his arms. Her body was weak, but her eyes still burned with purpose. "Come on," he whispered. "We're not done." He placed her near the core. She touched it with trembling fingers. The room lit up like a sunrise. The entire station came to life. Defense, shields, hidden weapons, ancient tech all activating. John heard a final whisper in his mind. "You were never chosen. You were born for this." The swarm breach. Alarms screamed. The entire station trembled. Outside the window, darkness was moving. Not like night, but like a living storm. The swarm had arrived. Countless black shapes floated toward the station, wings buzzing, claws scratching. Across the outer walls. They looked like a mix of insects and machines, built to destroy. Red lights blinked in their heads. They had no emotion, no mercy. Inside the core room, John stood between Nerea and the door, his hands shaking but his eyes locked with fire. "Tell me what to do," he whispered. Nerea sat by the glowing core, her energy low. Her body was damaged from Aleph's attack. She pointed to the control rings floating above her, then tapped on her chest and then on John's. John understood. They were now linked. He stepped forward and placed his hands on the control rings. The moment his fingers touched the light, the mark on his chest burned and everything changed. Memories not his own flooded his brain. A man standing alone on a ruined world, lighting the sky with fire from his hands. A woman healing a dead forest, with a single breath. A child laughing, glowing like a star while being held by an alien queen. These were embers, past lives. And now, they lived inside him. John gritted his teeth. The core pulsed faster. The station groaned. And then, the outer wall shattered. Swarm units breached the hallways. Hundreds of them crawled inside, metal legs clicking, eyes flashing red. They hissed, smelling the ember energy. They came like shadows, climbing walls, ceilings, everything. The first door blew open. John stood still. The swarm charged and slammed into an invisible wall. A blue shield exploded from John's chest, spreading across the hallway. The swarm bounced off it like flies against glass. John fell to one knee, sweat pouring down. "It's too much. Can't hold it." Nerea forced herself up, glowing again. She crawled to him and pressed her hand against his back. Their connection grew stronger. "You are not alone," she whispered. John stood again. This time, he didn't just hold the shield. He shaped it. The hallway twisted. Walls bent. The swarm was funneled into a single narrow tunnel and then sealed, shut by a hard light barrier. John was stunned. "How? Am I doing this?" the core whispered through his mind. "Because you're not just a key. You are the flame itself." Suddenly, a high-pitched scream rang through the station. The swarm changed. They stopped attacking. They stood still, waiting. From behind them came something larger. It crawled into view, a creature twice as big as the rest, armor like black bone, wings of burning red light. Its voice echoed without sound. Nerea gasped. "The Hive Warden." John stepped forward. The creature stared directly at him. "False ember, you shine with stolen light." John stood his ground. "Then come take it," the warden charged. Its claws sliced the wall in two. John blocked the strike, but the shield cracked. The second claw came fast, aimed at Nerea. Without thinking, John threw himself in front of her. The claw went straight into his side. Blood spilled. But the light didn't fade. Instead, it grew stronger. Nerea cried out, grabbing John's face. "Don't die, please, don't die." Her tears hit his skin. They glowed like tiny stars. Suddenly, John's wound closed. The mark on his chest exploded with golden light. His body rose into the air. His eyes turned white. The swarm screamed in fear. The hive warden attacked again. This time John didn't block it. He absorbed the hit and fired back. A beam of pure energy shot from his hand, hitting the warden dead center. The creature wailed, its armor melting. All around them the swarm froze. Then ran. The light chased them through the hallways, burning every shadow. Silence returned. The battle was over. John collapsed to the floor, breathing hard. The core dimmed. Nerea rushed to him, placing his head in her lap. "You changed everything," she whispered. John looked up at her. "No, we did." She smiled, truly smiled for the first time. Then from deep within the core a voice spoke. "Final stage activated. Ember bond confirmed. Prepare for ascension." John and Nerea looked at each other. "What does that mean?" he asked. She just held his hand. Together, they had survived. But something bigger was still waiting. The awakening. The words echoed through the core room like thunder inside a dream. Final stage activated. Ember bond confirmed. Prepare for ascension. John didn't understand what that meant. He could barely move. His body felt like fire and stone at the same time, too heavy, too full. Nerea held his hand, her glowing fingers trembling slightly. "Ascension?" he whispered, eyes barely open. "Is that death?" Nerea shook her head slowly. She touched his forehead, and once again, images filled his mind. But this time, not from the past. These were visions of possible futures. A planet healed by glowing roots, starships powered by human emotion, alien species living without war, children, alien and human, playing together under a triple sun. John gasped. "Is that real?" Nerea nodded. Then she tapped the floor, where a hidden symbol lit up under her hand. A golden ring of ancient text circled them. "The awakening must begin now," the core spoke again. "The ember must choose." John looked around the chamber. The lights dimmed, leaving only the ember core pulsing softly in the air, floating like a beating heart. "You may remain as you are, or awaken fully. But know this, you will no longer be only human." Nerea's face turned serious. She signed, a symbol near her chest, 2 fingers crossing, and then typed onto a panel. "If you choose awakening, you become light and flame. You can no longer go back." John's breath slowed. Everything inside him screamed to say no. He was just a man, an engineer. He wanted a quiet life. Not this. But then he remembered the screams from the fake signal, the swarm, and the moment he had almost lost Nerea. And he remembered the first word she ever spoke to him. Protect. He stood. "I choose to awaken." The core flared. Blinding. Burning. Nerea stepped back, shielding her eyes. John's body rose into the air once again, but this time he wasn't alone. 7 ghostly figures floated around him. Humans but glowing, tall, dressed in robes and armor from lost ages. "We are the forgotten embers," they said as one. John stared in awe. One stepped forward, a woman with silver eyes and wings of fire. "You are not chosen by birth. You are chosen by heart. That is the truest ember." They circled him. Their energy melted into him, one by one. As each passed through, John felt memories flood in. Joy, pain, courage, grief, hope. His body changed. His veins pulsed with golden light. His heartbeat matched the core. Then came the final step. The voice spoke again. "Give her a name." John blinked. "What?" You must give her a name. She is no longer your guardian. She is your equal. He looked at Aria, who now stood alone, watching. Her face was calm, but there was something behind her eyes. Fear. She had been trained to protect, to serve, but never to be seen as more than that. John walked to her slowly. You need a name, he said gently. One you choose, one I honor. She opened her mouth slowly and whispered, Aria. John smiled. Then rise, Aria, ember of the stars. The core exploded with light. This time, a calm one. It spread through the walls, the circuits, and the very heart of the station. Outside, something unbelievable happened. The dead planet below turned green. The swarm ships began to fall from the sky, not from attack, but from confusion. They lost control, no longer able to track the ember light. John and Aria stood together at the edge of the control platform, watching the storm break. Aria turned to him. You are no longer just a man, she said softly. John turned to her. And you are no longer just my protector. She looked up, surprised. John stepped closer. You saved me before I even knew I needed saving. But now, we walk this galaxy together. Aria smiled. Her hand found his. No more glowing shield. No more duty. Just connection. Then the core spoke one last time. Coordinates unlocked. Star network restored. Embership Alpha, awaiting command. John turned to the screen. A small ship, shaped like a bird of fire, floated outside, waiting for them. It had been buried deep in orbit for generations, waiting for an ember to rise again. He looked at Aria. Ready to see the stars? She nodded. Her real reason. The ember ship rose into orbit like a silent flame. From the window, John looked down at the dead planet below. It was no longer dead. Green vines bloomed across its black surface. Water rushed through old cracks like rivers reborn. Life was coming back, and it all started because of her. He turned to Aria. No longer just a housekeeper, no longer just a guardian. She stood beside him in the glowing command room, dressed in white and gold robes that shifted like sunlight. Her eyes, still violet, were softer now, no longer filled with duty, but something deeper. Peace. The ship moved smoothly through space. Stars blinked in the distance, but John felt something unfinished. He looked at her. There's still one question, he said softly. One I never asked. Aria tilted her head. The first night. You were on top of me. You whispered, protect. I always thought it was about me. That you were sent to protect the ember inside me. She looked away, her hands folded slowly in front of her. But now, I'm not so sure. Silence. Then gently she spoke. You're wrong. John's chest tightened. It was never just the ember I was protecting. She turned to face him fully now. No shields, no code, just her. I was born inside a breeding lab, she began. My kind, Zalari, were raised to serve. Some as soldiers, some as tools. I was built to guard, nothing else, no dreams, no name. John stayed silent, heart pounding. When I was sent to your station, she continued, I followed orders, but then I saw you. She looked up at him now, voice trembling like the stars outside. You were kind. You said hello. You offered me water. You smiled even when I said nothing. You didn't look at me like a machine. Her hands touched her own chest. And for the first time, I felt something break inside me. John stepped closer, barely breathing. I didn't kneel. Over you that night to guard the ember, she said. I didn't understand it then, but now I do. She placed her palm on his chest over the glowing mark. I knelt over you because I wanted to feel your heartbeat. A tear slid down her cheek, silver and shining. John reached up and gently wiped it away. You're not just light now, he said softly. You're human too, in every way that matters. She looked up, startled. I mean it, he whispered. Whatever made you, whatever trained you, they failed. Because you didn't just protect the Ember. He touched her hand. You saved me. Outside, the ship reached a new system. A massive station floated ahead, ancient and beautiful, shaped like a flower made of crystal and gold. The core inside the ship spoke. Welcome, Ember Prime. Welcome, Flame Bond. Aria blinked. Flame Bond? John smiled, unsure. Suddenly, the ship shifted again. A soft golden circle formed under their feet. It pulsed slowly. 2 symbols appeared. One for him, one for her. The core voice returned. 2 flames joined. By truth. Not by blood, not by duty, but by choice. John looked at Aria. I guess. We're bonded now, he chuckled nervously. But Aria didn't laugh. Instead, she stepped forward, gently took his face in her hands, and whispered, No. We already were. The ship docked. 100 alien beings waited to greet them. Different species, strange forms, many who had thought the Ember Line was dead. But now they saw it. Alive, walking side by side with a once silent protector. John and Aria stepped. Onto the landing platform, a child, blue and small, ran up and touched Aria's robe. Are you a queen? The child asked. Aria smiled and looked at John. He answered for her. No, she's something even greater. In that moment, the Ember light spread again, not as war, not as power, but as hope. And in every corner of the galaxy, those still hiding from the swarm looked up and saw the light returning.